There is a fable from ancient Greece about a love that transcends two worlds. A dolphin sees a boy near the water, and over time, the two fall deeply in love. The tale has been a favorite through the ages, remembered by artists and authors for centuries, intrigued by the special bond between two vastly different souls. We thought it was just a fable from the past, until we came to the Sinai Peninsula, where we found the fairy tale coming to life. A human being and a wild creature of the sea have developed that special bond. It's so strong, sometimes it's hard to tell the dolphin from the human. The result is a modern story that is better than a fairy tale. This is a place where miracles seem to come with the territory. Not far away, Mount Sinai and the Ten Commandments, after Moses parted the Red Sea. There is a magic here, the kind that turns mountains into purple every evening. We have come seeking a modern-day miracle. The story of a wild dolphin that has developed a special relationship with a human being. Some even say Holly has fallen in love with Abdullah. Whatever you call it, they've been inseparable for 3 years. And some unusual things have been happening in a very poor part of this Sinai desert. In this episode of The New Explorers, we join a marine biologist who's been observing the phenomenon since it began to help us sort out the fairy tale from the science. Between the gentle tide of the Red Sea and the jagged mountains of the Sinai is the poor Bedouin village of Nuweiba Mazena. The people here may have exchanged their ancestors' tents for cinder block houses, but they still prefer sleeping where they can see the stars. Although it doesn't seem to make getting up in the morning any easier. The Bedouin culture is in transition. Younger generations have moved from the traditional nomadic camps to permanent villages to be closer to jobs and schools. Now, instead of moving the tents every few months so the goats can find fresh grass, the Bedouins bring the food to the animals. For example, what does a goat eat for breakfast? Forget the cereal. They'll have the box. And the camels look a little out of place, grazing the paved Egyptian streets. Waste management is not a big concern. It's a food source. This daily routine was as unchanging as the desert sun until 3 years ago, when something very unusual happened to Nuweiba Mazena. Two cousins, Abdullah and Muhammad, were preparing their nets for a day of fishing offshore, hoping for a good catch of snapper or grouper. Muhammad spread the nets along the bottom. He was keeping them clear of the rocks and checking his catch Everything seemed quite normal until Abdullah suddenly swam to the surface. About 15 feet under the boat was a dolphin. To say Abdullah was excited would be missing the point. Word of the visitor spread quickly through the village, reaching as far as northern Israel in a few weeks. Which is where Oz Goffman heard it. Oz is studying marine biology at the University of Haifa and is the director of the Israel Marine Mammal Research and Assistance Center, or IMRAC. He rushed to the Sinai. If the rumor was true, it could be the opportunity of a lifetime. Within an 8-hour drive from home, a chance to study a most rare phenomenon, a wild dolphin who's left her pod.
She was swimming around them, and she didn't stay in the area for a longer period. Like, she was coming in the middle of the day for a couple of hours and then just leave the area and then disappear for 2 days and then came back.
Oz had heard of solitary dolphins who leave their community to live near humans, but he'd never seen one. They're so rare, that's why their stories seem like myths. When he arrived at Nueva Mazzena, he watched for a sign. At first, nothing. But then, there she was, just offshore. The rumor was true. Here was a living laboratory. A chance to observe a wild dolphin's behavior. And at the same time, investigate the phenomenon of why a single dolphin seems to reach out to human beings and establish a relationship. It was an extraordinary opportunity to apply science to legend and learn more about the behavior of a most intriguing animal. But Oz could not foresee the remarkable journey that lay ahead of him, in the twilight where imagination becomes reality. For the first few months, Holly seemed wary of the people around her. She even refused the dead fish Abdullah and Mohammed offered and avoided all human touch. But word of the wild dolphin at Nueva Mazzena had attracted tourists who began to arrive, hoping to swim with her. One day, Holly came close to one, letting a woman run her hands down her side. It was a breakthrough in Holly's relationship with human beings.
And then I took Abdallah, who is now the owner and the leader of the Dolphin Observatory. I took him to the water and I told him, "You can touch the dolphin." And then he shouted to me, "You are a liar, you are a liar. Nobody touched this dolphin."
Abdullah was not angry, just excited. He jumped into the water and initiated contact. Careful at first, tentative. It was clear Holly was eager to return the affection. And so began a deep relationship between a boy and a dolphin. It looked like a love affair. Holly clearly preferred Abdullah and Mohammed over all other villagers, seeking their company in the water, always staying close by. It was now up to Oz to explain this unusually close relationship scientifically. He identified her as a bottlenose dolphin, a type native to warm water environments worldwide, including the Red Sea. Holly had arrived in the area so thin, her ribs showed through her skin. No one knew where she had come from or why she had come here. To compile data, Oz first interviewed the Bedouins about what they had seen and what they had done with Holly. Their anecdotal evidence was important, but there's a difference between listening to stories and observing firsthand. This was an opportunity to watch and record a fable from history. Armed with modern scuba gear and an underwater video camera, Oz Goffman now had the chance to observe and analyze these interactions from a scientific standpoint. He mapped out a grid on the ocean floor and recorded her every behavior. Time of day, number of swimmers, writing the notes underwater. The full analysis continued by watching the video back home in Haifa, Israel. Oz enlisted the help of American marine biologist Dr. Kari Lavallee, using the video to slow Holly's action to study the exact behavior.
So what's she doing here, Oz? It looks like she's on the bottom. She's smacking her head on the bottom.
Together, they designed a project to look for patterns, comparing her actions to other known dolphin behavior. A difficult task in the wild. Much of the information we have on dolphin behavior comes from the animals kept in zoos and dolphinariums. These dolphins are trained to perform certain behaviors on command, with striking agility.
Focus your attention on the left-hand side of the pool. Say hello to Wendy and Kai.
They are behaviors that might appear in the wild, but in very different circumstances. Scientists have learned much about dolphin physiology by conducting controlled experiments on things like dolphin communication, use of energy, and sight.
Now, folks, this is amazing. Now as the ball starts to move, the dolphins utilize their eyesight, their timing, and their coordination.
But as entertaining as it is, studying dolphin behavior in captivity leaves many questions unanswered.
There are plenty of behavioral studies that have been done in aquaria, in SeaWorld, etc. But those add a distinct element of unnatural environment.
Isn't she cute?
Behavior is context sensitive. I mean, your behavior changes depending on your environment. The more natural or unnatural it is, the more different the behavior will be from its normal state.
Holly offered a unique opportunity to closely observe a wild dolphin over a number of years, comparing her actions with what we've witnessed elsewhere. Oz assigns codes to each of Holly's behaviors. And over time, Oz and Kari have witnessed an interesting shift.
It seems that the behaviors she displays towards humans are exactly the behaviors that other dolphins of her species display towards their pod members. And if that winds up being the case, then she's simply substituting the humans for the pod.
It's a startling proposition, like stories of human children raised by apes. Is it possible for one species to substitute another for its own? We put that question to Dr. Randy Wells, head of the longest-running study of wild dolphin populations in the world.
The fact that she interacts so willingly with humans and allows such a high level of physical contact suggests that humans perhaps are replacing a lot of what she would get in a local dolphin group, in a group where she might have spent more of her time before she came here.
Randy works with bottlenose dolphins off Sarasota, Florida. In nearly 30 years of observations, He's documented relationships among dolphins in their natural environment. These communities generally number about 100 and are thought to function with a social hierarchy that puts the oldest males on top, followed by the oldest females, and down the line to the smallest and youngest members of the community. Dolphin social organization may provide a clue to Holly's separation from her group.
We know that female dolphins can live to be into their 50s at times. So if she is in her early 20s or mid-20s, she really hasn't been a mature member of any given society for a very long period of time.
Given her status, Holly may not have had the ability to overcome a conflict and was thrown out of the community. It's impossible to know for sure why Holly left the company of dolphins, but it's clear that for now, she has chosen this bay as her home. But while Rose was making the best of this rare opportunity, overshadowed the science. Word was spreading up and down the Sinai coast that Holly had chosen this village because she developed a special communication with the people here. In a moment, can the deaf communicate with dolphins? Holly's home is the Gulf of Aqaba that splits the Sinai Peninsula from Saudi Arabia. Nuweiba Mazzena is perched alongside the Gulf on the eastern edge of the Sinai, along the crossroads between Africa and the Middle East, and the site of centuries of national conflict. But for more than 1,000 years, the only real inhabitants of this rugged land have been these people. They are Bedouins. Descendants of those who migrated from the Arabian Peninsula sometime after the 7th century. They are devout Muslims who live throughout the modern-day Middle East. Bedouins have survived for over 1,000 years in the desert by adopting some useful rules. Keep very close to the tribe, and within the tribe, to the family. Marriages are expected to be within the clan, preferably to a first cousin. It keeps the immediate family tightly knit. But marriage within a small population, while it may be necessary for survival, comes with a price. Genetic problems can be passed from one generation to another. That has happened at Nuweiba Mazzena. Deafness affects much of the village. Over the years, the people here have developed their own sign language. The children quickly learn it, and they seem to accept it as a normal consequence. It's a village where hearing loss is a fact of life. So when Muhammad, one of the cousins closest to Holly, turned out to be one of those unable to hear or speak, some interesting questions were asked. Could it be that the dolphin sensed Muhammad's handicap? Or more likely, could Muhammad, having been forced all his life to find a way to communicate without speaking or hearing, be better equipped to communicate with Holly? Could this be why Holly stayed at Nuweiba Mazzena? I wanted to hear for myself what was happening underwater, so Oz and I swam behind Muhammad and Abdallah one afternoon when they paid their daily visit to Holly. First, he showed me the methodology he's been using for 3 years. You can't get into much trouble in 15 feet of water, warm as a bath. Not far off the beach, I was soon in Holly's world. A smooth sand bottom. This clownfish, staying close to its protective anemone, would be among Holly's friends. And a pufferfish, exhibiting that strangely human characteristic of appearing to overeat. In this case, it's a defense mechanism. And this is Holly's view, strange creatures with flailing arms and legs. Abdullah and Muhammad introduced me to Holly. She was polite, but not as familiar as when they touched her. Their techniques are different. Abdullah can be aggressive, while Muhammad is far gentler. But Holly lets them both know when to back off. That's her way of communicating. The cousins use sign language to communicate with each other. Dolphins communicate with other dolphins in several ways. Like humans, much of their communication is through body language and behavior, the types of interactions Oz studies. They also use acoustic signals. Researchers now believe dolphins may receive information from the echolocation clicks other dolphins use to sense their environment. In the water, you can hear and feel these clicks as a slight stitching sound, like a zipper going across you. They also emit high-pitched squeaks. Each dolphin has its own signature whistle that seems to identify the individual dolphin to others. Dolphins have also been observed whistling in times of excitement or stress. The adult dolphin brain is proportionately larger than a human's. Many would like to think it holds mystical secrets that they would communicate if only we had a common language. But researchers believe that the large brain is used to process the signals from a world of sound, the most dominant feature of the underwater universe in which they must survive. Would that make them more attracted to humans who can't hear?
Dolphins are very acoustically oriented. For them to interact with a non-acoustically oriented creature because they were non-acoustically oriented is not something that comes to mind as a real strong draw for that animal.
As the scientist on the scene, Oz Goffman agrees.
To say that she is coming because of the death, it's good for the spirit, it's good for people that believe. It's a nice story, but I don't think that that's the truth.
But the Bedouins of Nuweiba Mazena communicate in an unusual way. They communicate physically. Most use sign language, and touch is common in all interactions, in and out of the water. Could Holly be responding to this?
That could be. The more dynamics there are in the water in terms of communication, that may be something that is of interest or is a curious matter to Holly. Being able to communicate both from the surface and below the water.
Oz has been recording Holly for more than 3 years, over 90 hours of videotape, and he analyzes how she communicates through her actions. He knows her behavior better than anyone else. Many of the actions have been observed by scientists watching other wild dolphins.
She's playing the same games as dolphins play in the wild, but she's playing the game with human being, and she adapts her behavior to swim with human being.
It may be the most important clue to knowing why Holly stays. She treats these humans as her dolphin family, teaching them to fill that role. Among all her interactions with Abdullah and Muhammad is still special, and Holly is still teaching them. Like friends, getting to know each other's likes and dislikes, It's rare insight for a dolphin observer.
Abdallah is feeding Holly with an octopus from the boat. He's offering Holly the food. So she's coming to the boat. She wants this octopus. And what Abdallah is doing, he's not giving her the octopus. Abdallah knows that he got the power in his hand. He got a connection with Holly, and he's playing with the food. And with animals, it's a bad trick to play with the food.
Abdallah jumps in the water and continues taunting Holly with the octopus until she teaches him a lesson.
And then she turns aside and she tail slap his belly. So over here, Holly trained Abdallah that she wants the food and don't play with me games with my food. And he's giving her the octopus. He got his lessons for today.
Oz himself, the cameraman here, becomes part of the action as Holly brings the octopus to the camera, as if showing him who's won this round. Scientists put motives on animals' actions, but dolphins are known to train their trainers. Over time, Holly became more comfortable with her human herd, and tourists who came to see her were able to swim closely and touch her. And they had their own theories. What's your explanation?
It's a telepathic connection between her and the boy.
Really?
Absolutely. That's what I think. He don't speak, but they do speak. They do. They speak in a telepathic way, I think.
This idea that humans and dolphins can communicate telepathically has little support in the scientific community, largely because this type of communication is very difficult to measure. But it's clear the people who come to swim with Holly would rather believe in the fairy tale than the science. They strongly feel something magical is happening. And then, more than 2 years after Holly arrived, another surprise, which the Bedouins saw as another miracle. As Holly entered her 3rd year at Nueva Mazzena, the village had become a pilgrimage site, where visitors could seek a rare spiritual experience, being able to swim with a wild dolphin who had made contact with the human world. And as these pilgrims flocked to Nueva Mazzena, they witnessed yet another miracle.
It came like as a gift. Abdallah went into the water, and 5 minutes later he was calling me 3 times in half an hour. He just was so excited. He told me, "Come over there, we have a baby."
Oz was there within 24 hours and took this rare footage of a wild mother and newborn calf. The Bedouins named the baby dolphin Jimmy, Jimmy the Deaf, the family name of Muhammad. Now there were 2 dolphins in Nueva Mazzena and a mother-calf interaction for Oz to study. It's extremely rare for a wild dolphin to have a calf while in continuous contact with humans. There were some obvious changes in her behavior.
After Jimmy was born, Holly took back from the human being pod, and she back up. She didn't let the human being to touch her in the first days.
Listen, hey, excuse me.
The Bedouins restricted the number of tourists in the water and kept their distance themselves, while Holly taught her young son the basics of dolphin life. How to breathe, how to vocalize. That's Holly teaching Jimmy to recognize her signature whistle. even how to swim. He stays at her side to feel how she moves in the water. But there were people who insisted on getting into the water with Holly and Jimmy. They witnessed another side of Holly's personality: aggression.
Holly has been followed since 1994, before she became pregnant, and then we've been able to look at her while she was pregnant and after she was pregnant. We've actually seen a nice increase in aggression from when she first came to the village and was very non-aggressive, to being slightly more aggressive during her pregnancy, to being very aggressive after her pregnancy.
It will take time to discover why Holly became more aggressive. Hormones and motherhood certainly play a part. But there's something else. This rise in aggression is common among solitary dolphins. The more time they spend with humans, the more aggressive their behavior.
Probably a lot of it's stress. The more and more humans that swim with it, and the more humans who know about the dolphins, who increase the numbers of visits, probably stress the animal out. It's just like if you're a person and you're put into a crowded room, you might be slightly more aggressive than if you're put into a room with one other person. It's a matter of getting sick and tired of being touched or being chased.
But not tired enough to swim away. And within a few months, a new relationship with the village began. Adopted Jimmy as one of their own. Holly stayed nearby as Jimmy played like one of the neighborhood kids. She knew he'd whistle if he needed her. Holly seemed to trust the Bedouin children as she trusted their parents. Now it seemed that Holly had not only made the village her family, she'd brought her family to the village, which in turn showed its pride in having them there. After a few days in the village, I was invited into a world hidden to Westerners most of the time. I was welcomed to a traditional breakfast. Pleasant talk on a blanket around the morning fire. And like all Middle Easterners, to sip hot tea from a glass. I've never found a way to avoid burning my fingers. Good morning. This was a rare invitation. Women above the age of 12 are usually prohibited from interaction with men outside their families.
He's getting up. Oh, goodness.
But despite the differences, I found this family like most of us. The women were just as curious as the men to see this new visitor from the U.S. This time, the women stayed, while the men conducted the conversation. Maybe the change in tradition is because I had come to see the dolphins. Before Holly, no tourists came here. There was no reason. The villagers scratched out a living as best they could, always believing that Allah would provide, even by sending a dolphin to help them.
Why do you think Allah gave or sent Holly to this village?
Because Allah, He like Bedouin here. Because Allah, He like the Bedouin. Because He see nothing out work. Only maybe have a fish. It's fish. If not tourists here, how can we sell the fish? If you have a cafeteria, if no people here, how can we work in the cafeteria? No people come to here.
It's Ibrahim's way of saying that because of Holly, business is booming. The signs tell the story. People wanting to swim with a magical dolphin have brought tourist dollars with them. It means there's money for the children on the beach, selling souvenirs. And Jimmy's arrival meant the village was changing more rapidly. Traditional ways are now harder to find among the increasing services from the nearby Egyptian municipality. More electricity was certainly welcome. While the men still use camel dung in their Bedouin checkers game, inside it was as if Jimmy had given his playmates a present. And it meant something for Holly, too.
So Abdallah take this fridge and wash it out, and now they are holding the fish, the fresh fish, for Holly in this fridge.
The people of Nuweiba Mazzena welcomed the new visitors, and they thanked Allah for their good fortune. All seemed good. A good fairy tale would end right here. But this is reality, and it will write a different ending to this story. 3 years after Holly's arrival, the village family didn't stop at the beach. Holly was rearing Jimmy as a wild dolphin would, with plenty of contact with the rest of the pod, the human herd, never letting Jimmy stray very far. And then, one afternoon, tragedy.
جيمي رايحون رايحون دوار ربع ساعة. شو هذا أنا نايم، أنا مشوب تعبان، أنا قلت نايم. أبدال بو دلفين مات نايم مات لاما شو موضوع دلفين وهذا الدلفين هون كل الولد دلفين ولين روح أكل روح أكل أنا عندي في الماء ولين بشوف ما أدري شو قلب جيمي مات.
By the time Oz and Kari got there, Abdullah was still in shock, grieving, agitated.
شاشة جيمي مية مبطوطة جيمي مبطوطة شاشة جيمي مات.
Did Jimmy choke on a plastic bag? Did he eat something poisonous? Did too many tourists somehow cause it? Oz tried to get as much information as he could from the villagers. How could this have happened? Any and every possibility was considered. But the biggest question was, how would Holly react? Maybe now she would go back to the sea. Wild dolphins have been known to react strongly to the loss of a calf. In other places, dolphin researchers have found that firstborn calves often die, most likely from ingestion of a lifetime full of environmental toxins from the mother's body. But there was no way to know if this was Holly's firstborn. It was as mysterious as why Holly first came. The mayor of Nuweiba ordered a necropsy to look for the cause of death. Egyptian doctors would lead the operation. Oz would assist. But after 2 hours, they found not a clue. Their thoughts quickly turned back to Holly. Oz got into the water to observe. She seemed sluggish, confused by her calf's absence. While following her on video, Holly tilled a fish and turned around to the camera as she would have to Jimmy, trying to teach him how to cut the head off a fish that was too big. Her slow arcs kept her just out of range of the swimmers, still tolerant of their attention, but not inviting their touch, Frankly, it was as if she were deeply depressed. The village was devastated. Jimmy had become one of their own. But this was more. To them, Jimmy was sent by Allah.
When Jimmy died, everybody
When
was
Jimmy died, well, like 100 people died. Like 100 people, or many people be hungry, yani.
Angry but accepting. It now seemed the gift from Allah was being taken back.
Surprisingly, they take it in proportion, like the Bedouins. They realized that Jimmy died, and the Bedouins said that that's from God. They just accept it. But now they know that they need to protect Holly more than they protect her before.
Oz and Kari suggested that Holly needed support, the kind she would have gotten from the Wild Herd family. They tried to restrict tourists around her, but it was hard. The tragedy only brought more. And then, 4 days after Jimmy died, while Mira, one of Oz's assistants, was in the water with her, Holly went through a dramatic transformation. A number of swimmers were in the water, including Abdullah and Muhammad. Children, villagers, Oz was taping. It was much like a human family that comes together in times of grief, showing love and support to continue in spite of the personal loss. Suddenly, Holly began to encourage their attention. She swam to them, offering her body to be touched and rubbed. Even as she moved, she was never out of reach. The scene, like a family in a time of need. She stood straight up in the water, offering her fins, and held still for their caresses. Science would caution us not to jump to conclusions here, arguing that we just can't know if a dolphin has feelings or emotions like depression and love. But the fairy tale would say the miracle dolphin was responding to her new family of human beings that she had chosen to replace her family of dolphins. And those who belong to the family probably won't worry about the reason why. They'll accept her as long as she wants to stay. And she's still there. Every morning, Abdullah and Muhammad swim with her. Sometimes they fish together. While Oz watches and records their actions. We may never know why she came and continues to stay. But Holly the dolphin, who formed a bond with human beings, has given us a new fable about love transcending two vastly different worlds. And this fable is true.